When you think about coal, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably old, dusty images, right? Smokestacks, a fuel from a bygone era that we're supposed to be leaving behind. But what if I told you that story isn't really the full picture? The latest data shows something way more complex, and frankly, pretty surprising.
Take a look at this number, 8.79 billion tons. Just let that sink in for a moment. It's a figure so huge it's hard to even imagine. Any guesses what that might be?
Yep, that massive number is how much coal the world is on track to burn in 2024. This isn't some historical peak from the 70s. This is happening right now, a brand new all-time record. So what on earth is going on? If coal is the fuel of the past, why are we using more of it than ever before?
This right here is what we're calling coal's paradoxical peak. To really get why demand is soaring, we've got to look at the world's energy needs for what they actually are, not just what we hope they'll be.
And look, this isn't just some fringe theory. This is a direct quote from the International Energy Agency. They're confirming that everything, how much we use, how much we generate, how much we produce, and how much we trade, it's all at record levels. The age of coal, it seems, is far from over.
So the big question is, where is all this demand actually coming from? Well, while places like Europe and North America have been cutting back, the global trend is being pushed to these new heights almost single-handedly by just 2 countries. Their enormous appetite for energy is reshaping the entire market.
The scale here is just, wow. Take a look at this. China, all on its own, uses 56% of all the coal burned on the planet. 56%. Then you add India at 14%. Together, that's 70% of global demand. The rest of the entire world combined doesn't even make up a third.
Now, for these 2 giants, this isn't just about picking the cheapest option. It's a matter of national energy security. After getting hit with shortages and wild price swings, both China and India made a huge strategic push to mine more coal at home. It's all about keeping their economies running and making sure the lights stay on.
And the numbers are just staggering. Get this, China's power plants alone burn 1/3 of all the coal used in the entire world. 1/3! Meanwhile, India's demand is just getting bigger, and they've got this ambitious plan to crank up their own production by a huge amount by 2030. This isn't a temporary thing, it's a long-term strategic move.
Okay, so with demand this sky high, where's all this coal actually coming from? Let's flip over to the supply side and see who's digging this stuff up to meet these record-breaking numbers.
When it comes to exporting, Indonesia is the undisputed king, shipping out a massive 550 million tons. They're like the market's swing producer, able to quickly ramp up when demand spikes. Australia is another major player, especially for that high-quality coal. And then you have Russia, whose role is a bit of a question mark because of sanctions and lower prices. So here's the simple breakdown. On one side, you've got the big 3 exporters. On the other side, the big buyers, led of course by China and India. But you've also got established players like Japan and fast-growing economies like Vietnam. It's like a vast, global conveyor belt of energy, constantly moving.
Now, what about the price? You might remember the crazy energy crisis in 2022 when prices shot up past $400 a ton. Well, they've come crashing back down. A huge reason for this normalization is actually China. Their big push for energy security meant they ended up mining so much coal that they created a global surplus, which sent prices tumbling.
So we've got record demand, record production, and prices are stabilizing. It really sounds like coal is just unstoppable, right? But this is where the story takes another fascinating turn. Experts are saying all this crazy growth is about to hit a ceiling.
According to the IEA, that relentless climb we've been seeing is pretty much over. But, and this is the really important part, notice what the forecast says. Demand isn't going to crash. It's expected to plateau, staying right around these record high levels we're seeing today. So, what we're seeing isn't the end of coal, but the end of its growth. And this really gets to the tension at the very heart of our global energy system. It's a massive tug-of-war. On one side, you have powerful forces like energy security, the non-negotiable need for steel, and simple affordability that keep coal in the game. But on the other side, you've got the incredible, explosive growth of renewables and ambitious climate policies pulling hard in the opposite direction. Coal's future is basically going to be decided by which side pulls harder.
So, this brings us to the final and most critical question. We're standing on this peak, but what comes next? Is coal going to begin a long, slow fade into the background? Or is it headed for a much faster, steeper cliff? The answer, as you can imagine, is incredibly complicated.
Let's just take steel making. Our modern world is literally built with steel, and you can't make it the traditional way without a special kind of coal, metallurgical coal. The alternative, so-called green steel, is proving incredibly hard to get going. You need billions for new plants, you need a mind-boggling amount of renewable energy that we just don't have yet, and there are still major technical problems to solve. This alone locks in a huge chunk of coal demand for years, and it has nothing to do with generating electricity.
Now, in response to all this environmental pressure, the coal industry itself is trying to adapt. Companies are pouring money into better practices, like reclaiming the land after they're done mining, and even turning old sites into parks. But while these things are great for the local environment where the mining happens, they don't solve the fundamental global challenge, the carbon dioxide that gets released when the coal is actually burned.
So this is where we're left. Coal use is at a record high, but it has finally stopped growing. The forces pushing us toward a green transition are more powerful than ever, but the hard realities of energy security and industrial need are keeping coal locked in place. The path forward is anything but clear, and the only real question is, what happens when we finally get to the edge of this plateau?